Welcome to Realms Apart. More energy. More energy!
You're getting all of this uncut, by the way, Mo.
Welcome to Realms Apart.
Commandant Linde, Elerie. My name is Cousin Marie.
My name is Matt.
My name is Nox.
I'm Fabienne.
My name's Mike.
Hi, I'm Az, for now.
Piper.
And Momo. We're all artists, creators, and friends with a passion for immersive experiences,
Role-playing.
And creative storytelling.
Those passions have taken us on adventures around the world.
And in the course of those journeys, we've met each other.
Each of us are separated by miles.
National borders.
And entire oceans.
I live in Connecticut.
I'm in Los Angeles.
I'm from Seattle, Washington.
Kansas City.
Cardiff.
I live nowhere and therefore everywhere.
and Ontario, Canada. With all of this distance, our adventures together have been limited.
So now we play Dungeons and Dragons together online.
This is the prologue to our personal, kind of semi-homebrew D&D game.
We decided we wanted to start recording our sessions in the midpoint of our campaign and sharing them with you guys.
Keep listening
Tell in.
Keep your swords and spells at the ready.
and prepare yourself for Realms Apart.
Ooh. Okay. Ready?
Last time on Realms Apart, we started the thing.
We introduced all characters.
Doddle entered the city. Maglo got his book stolen. Hawke cried.
That's true. I was in a hole.
Juniper left her nature home and entered Waterdeep. Calder met Filthy Meg and got a job.
You also saw a dead body.
That's true.
Elerie was working for the bad guys.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
moving
yeah.
some boxes and getting into trouble.
And Siraye was being chased, but also a badass on top of a roof and kicking people in the butt.
Was knee deep in a kung fu movie.
Also, upon re-listening, Nox said something in the prologue about before the traitor was revealed, and I feel like we brushed right by that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't repeat myself. So let's start this out the way that we always do. Let's do a little meditative moment. Let's clear our minds and get ourselves into our characters. The ruins of Myth-Drenor stretch out before you. The sky is gray, ground is muddy, and your leather boots have been worn down to the point where they are thin, and every rock that you step upon, every irregular bump in the ground, threatens to toss you forward into the many chasms and pits that surround this place. The gray sky has torn open and lightning flashes as thunder rolls across the horizon. There is a deep and resounding chill that has been your partner on this journey. Your dirty blonde hair is soaked and continues to fall across your glasses as you push them forward on your nose. Sliding across that chasm, your hands reach out, grabbing onto the side of a shattered wall made of stone. This place, this magnificent city, was once one of the seats for knowledge and power within Faerun. Myth-Drenor. Once it belonged wholly to the elven people. And here they worked some of their greatest magics. But as with so many of the remnants of the elven culture left on Faerun, it is no more. It had been rebuilt, but the Netherese enclave had shattered and crashed into this place. Two bastions of civilization, both with very different goals, colliding together, light and dark. Now, eternally joined. Ahead of you, a number of the guides that you have hired push forward. Behind you, Willow, your sister. The expedition has taken the last of your family's coin. Your inheritance is squandered. Answers have been far and few between. Despite your every effort, this is your last chance. The Institute of Academic Exploration and Discovery has joined you. You have convinced them that your research has merit, and they have helped to bolster your failing finances, your failing inspiration. These ruins have been searched before, but you're hoping that what you can find here will lead you to the answer of how and why the elves have passed away from the world, why they have secluded themselves, and more importantly to you, how you can learn the secrets that they no longer share. Your worn boots push forward, and your sister continues on behind you. You caution a glance back, and you see that she's looking off towards the horizon. There is a ridge next to a mountain, and therein, your destination. Some of the largest spires of that Netherese enclave are shattered in that portion of Earth. And in all of Abir Terrell, the Netherese held a great many secrets that could unravel that which you seek to find. Oi, you paying attention? Aye, boy. Feel a smack on the back of your head as Willow taps you. You know, the thing is about you, you always wander off and don't have your mind where it needs to be.
Listen, I'm kind of working on like another level. Like intelligence-wise, I'm like way up here. There's like some galactic level kind of mind tricks I'm playing, right?
I think if you were to work your feet as hard as you were working your mouth, we'd be there already.
You bought me these crappy boots, right? They're already falling apart. I can like feel the ground. I'm trying to do the best of what I got, all right?
Willow laughs, and she has a clarion laugh that always reminds you of your mother, and it echoes through the canyon. Your expedition stops underneath an overhang, and a fire is lit by the guides, and everyone gathers together. The leader of the Institute of Academic Exploration and Discovery, Reginald Alderhorn, is with you. He is a very pencil-thin, pointed individual with a sharp chin and a sharp nose. Everything about him is angles and rigid understanding. He has white hair that is very long and has been braided across his back, and he's covered in far too many cloaks, trying to stave off the cold that has been assailing you in this place. He looks over and across all of you and quickly finds himself in his scrolls. Your sister has set out a number of the books that you both have searched through endlessly. Notes have been placed within these large tomes, and all of them contain endless scripts and notes that she has pinned in herself. One book is open, and in front of you, you are fitting the gears into the small brass automaton that you have been building for some time now. I believe it, Mags. I believe it. They know the way.
Aye, this is the one.
Almost all of the mythologs in Faerun were destroyed or rendered utterly powerless as a result of Karsus's folly. And resulting in that fall was the Netherese Empire. All the mythals and the mythologs are joined, and the energy that they share, the energy that they share connects everything together. It's like a magnet. You put one over here, and you put another over here, and they are inexplicably pulled together. Like it's all the same, from the same place, right? Are you still working on that?
I am listening. I'm sorry. I almost had it working, but there's few things I just can't get it.
Mags, you are perhaps the smartest idiot I've ever known. And she grabs the gears out of your hand and looks at them. You've had it the whole time right here. Look at this. And she begins showing you how to seat the gears together.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, you got it.
She's always been there. She's raised you. And despite her gentle ribbing, you know she loves you very much. And that she would never let anything happen to you. And underneath the rocky overhang, in the dull light of that fire, as the books damp from the cold and the rain of Mithranor, as those gears fit together, a small brass automaton, for the first time, lights up. And there's a warm yellow glow that fills the cavern. And you hear
Oh my god. Oh my god, we did it.
To be fair, you did most of it. I just gave you a push.
Absolutely not. Right. Shit. Marcus! And Mags, like, gets up and starts just calling for people to gather around. He's finding Marcus mainly, but he's looking for the others. Like, look. We got it working.
The other figures in the small overhang, the cavern, turn towards you. And across the fire, Reginald Alderhorn, the curator and grand cartographer, glowers in the firelight. If you're quite finished with your toys, we have the very serious business of determining how these ancient symbols tie into the location of Evermeet.
Of course. Reginald, absolutely. But look at this. Look what we got.
Fascinating, my boy. Fascinating.
It is. We can do so much with this. It can transport medicine. We can use them for companions for people who can't summon them from other lands. This is intrinsically connected to the weave and the Netherese, everything. It's all part of the puzzle. And we fucking built another piece of it. That's impressive. We're doing it, bud.
Your endless enthusiasm and youth are appreciated. However, academics has no space for dreaming. And I highly suggest that you begin to train your mind and let go of these childish fantasies.
If you try and pursue knowledge without dreaming, you're just going to start walking backwards.
You'll learn soon enough, boy. The world is cold and harsh.
That's why we gotta be not that.
He goes back to his books and has like 2 pairs of spectacles on his long nose as he's picking through pages and ignores you. You feel Willow's hand on your shoulder. He's a fucking idiot.
He's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know shit. You're gonna take his job in no time. Don't you worry about it.
Oh, I'm watching it. I'm watching it. Together, eh? You and me? Now go talk to Marcus. He's been all puppy dog-eyed since you stopped paying attention to him and fixing that brass automaton.
Like, makes his way over, like, and then he holds his hand out, and the little at the minute it's like a bumblebee. Like, look at it. Look what we did. We fucking did it. And it flies and everything.
The larger man is looking off, and you kind of follow his gaze, and you turn back, and you see at the mouth of this kind of cavern overhang your sister standing against the rainy, overcast sky and the jagged ruins of Mithranor lie out before her. And in the distance on a hill, you see a gray and shattered tree that has been burnt. And it looms large in the center of what the city once was. She's looking at it, and all you see is the silhouette of her form. And then in a blink, the scene dissolves, and you're drowning, and there's water everywhere, and screams, and shattering of cannon fire, and you're pulling yourself, fighting to try to break the surface. The ship has been destroyed. Your sister is dead. Everyone is gone. You're fighting just to breathe. Clutched in your grasp are the books and the papers that you and your sister have spent over a decade working on together. You won't let that go. And if this is to be your grave, then you will die with it. But somewhere in that dark water, as you begin to let go, as you accept your fate, a small pinpoint of yellow light begins leading you, pulling at you, and you find the strength to swim. I need everyone to roll initiative who is in the alley, please.
17.
17 is your initiative, Doddle.
It's a 5 for Hawke.
Oh, cheeky little nat 20, so I'm going to roll another 20 here.
Yeah, so yeah, you did roll a natural 20, and that means that you get to roll again to see if you get a second.
I do not.
I got an 8.
First and foremost, I guess it's Maglo.
That would make sense since Maglo got there before any of us.
Yeah,
We're
no,
not
it does.
chasing
It
Maglo.
follows. It is an overcast day, and it has begun to rain in Waterdeep. The threats and the storm clouds that had been building for the past few days have finally broke, and there is a wash of gentle showers that are scattering now across the streets, and all the filth of Waterdeep, the dirt and the grime that has accumulated, is being washed into the street. All of the merchants within the streets that have market stalls are rushing to kind of begin to cover their wares, and some of the patrons and citizenry are beginning to take cover. You, however, have just entered into a back alley, having followed this individual further down, and as you do, you see the individual running towards a cart. Make an insight check, please, Maglo.
9. Fuck.
You think that your target is going to continue to run past these individuals. They don't seem to be slowing at all. They continue moving forward down this cobblestone side street.
Okay.
But this carriage is certainly in the way, this wagon, and there's a large brown and spotted horse here. It is a draft horse, and it looks as if it has seen better days. Its mane is somewhat unkempt, and its hide is a bit matted, and there are quite a few flies buzzing around it, and it seems to be resentful of its current station at the front of this wagon. All of the individuals around it seem to be working to ensure that a number of crates are secured onto the back of the wagon. It is your initiative, Maglo.
As soon as they're in line of sight, Maglo does not think they're going to physically be able to keep up with them. He pulls out another vial, and he puts some leaves, some thick liquid. He cracks another one of those rocks that sparkles a little, and he puts it inside. He doesn't even bother to cork it. He puts his thumb over it and shakes it as it starts to bubble and turn into this acid that kind of like leaks out and goes onto his thumb, and he loads it into his gun, and he's going to cast Ray of Sickness at 2nd level.
You fire your weapon with this strange concoction that you fed into it, and you have leveled your rifle. You've raised it up. The rain is pelting around you. You take a deep breath and you concentrate as you focus on the back of the individual running away. Go ahead and roll to strike, please.
A thing which I consistently forget, as he has leveled it and is trying to breathe through it, Busby, now this spider with these bumblebee wings, latches itself onto the side of his gun and then points like a small laser focus, giving him advantage. He's going to try and give the help action for this.
Almost
That's
connects
a crit.
completely with your gun. You are on fire, my friend.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's a natural 20 again. I'd like for you to roll a second time to see if we can confirm that natural 20.
Man, people early doors listening are really going to think that I roll really well. That's a crit fail. Whereas that's not true. We are somehow lucking out. Unfortunately, I got a crit fail on the confirm.
You just got a natural 1 on that, which doesn't do anything. It just you still have the crit. It just doesn't add to anything. Only if you get the natural 20. Now, if you had rolled a natural 1 and then rolled another natural 1, that would have been a problem.
Hey, so apparently Piper had a power outage.
Oh dear.
Oh
Oh dear.
Oh, I can still see her sweet face.
Yeah.
I know.
Piper said they'll be back in a second.
Okay, that's good news.
Hey.
no! Quick, everyone say nice things about them.
Oh my lord, they're absolutely killing it
Yeah.
on a cosplay front of late. Lumpy Space Princess and Vanellope just like knocked it out in like a week.
The amount that they are willing to, like the amount of cosplays they're willing to bang out on like the short budget that they have to work with, and the quality that all of
Absolute
the
quality.
cosplays manage to be, they're not human.
No,
Hello.
it's absolutely feral.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, did you stop?
Yeah.
No, keep going. Forget me.
Oh,
Never.
I had to pee anyway. It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We just took a little breather. So I'm gonna wave here, but also, Piper, make sure to adjust your mic. I think you might be a little hot.
Doddle, how's this?
That's good.
Yeah.
That sounds great, June.
That sounds good.
You sound like her. You sound like a
us.
goddess.
Maglo, your rifle is leveled and it explodes with a thick cloud of brimstone as an alchemical burn sparks with a blue flame from the end of your weapon. And the opponent that you have been chasing through these alleyways has charged forward, nearly reaching a cart with some individuals that are working in this alleyway off in the distance. And as this shot rings out, everyone stops and looks in your direction. How much damage did you just do, Maglo?
31 points.
To the back of this rogue who has stolen the book that you were working on in the tavern, and running away from you, this individual has shown themselves to be somewhat trained in the arts of evasion and combat. You have managed to shoot this individual in the back, and they throw forward and scatter across the cobblestone of the street as the rain begins trickling down more and more heavily. There's a crack of lightning, and the thunder kind of shakes the sky for just the briefest of seconds before you realize that everyone that is surrounding this cart is moving towards you. Doddle, you catch up to the strange man who had dropped the page from that book. And in your hand, the parchment is slowly becoming wet from the rain. What do you do when you enter into this alley?
Do I see that the man that knows about Teyuan shot the guy, and then all of the presumably bad guys are moving in on him?
That's a lot of presumptions, Doddle. The man who knows about Teyuan has a gun, a rifle, which you are not familiar with these things. It's some sort of magic rod.
It's a boomstick.
Yeah, it's a magic rod that has smoke coming out of the end of it, and you see another person on the ground, scattered out, a dark form lying on the ground, and there is definitely blood.
Is he dead?
You're not sure, but the individual that has been harmed by this weapon is certainly hurt. And the individuals that were around the rest of the alley are moving very determinedly towards this man.
Oh, I have a lot more to process in my turn than I realized. Oh my god, I'm not sure I've ever seen blood before, at least not in this quantity. I think I'm gonna do what I originally did, actually, and I'm gonna panic, and then Doddle is, so she has a little bit more time to process whatever's going on. She's gonna scoop up some dirt off the ground, rub it in her hands a little bit, whisper some things in Elvish into her hands, and then she's gonna blow the dirt off her hand, and as the dirt goes into the air, it turns into fog, and I like to cast fog cloud around the approaching morally ambiguous guys. Please and thank you.
All right, so 20 feet of fog, and the individuals are kind of in this area here. You can see the blip on the cobblestone road.
Yeah.
And so as these individuals start walking down the cobblestone road towards this strange man, and now you are centering your spell. You focus, and as the dirt flies out of your hand, it whirls and begins building up into this plume of fog that ignites and starts to expand in the deeper part of this alleyway. It's not endless. You certainly see dark shapes that are moving around in there, but it's hard to see where anyone is at this point.
I just stare at the body.
You cannot. You've covered it in fog.
Oh, did I? I was picturing, just behind him so that Maglo could go get his book.
Oh, I see. So you want the fog to hit more of this, because these individuals are quickly walking towards all of you. So if you put the fog cloud back here, just know that they're going to emerge out of it fairly quickly.
We did this fight before I learned how to play D&D real good, so I'm just going to say that I'm keeping it immersive and consistent.
All right, it's fair. So that is Doddle's turn. These rough-looking people, they step out from the fog cloud that you created, and they step in front of the body. One of them actually picks up the individual and drags him back into the fog cloud. So 2 of those individuals immediately disappear, and then the others that come out, there are 3 of them. They are immediately going to run towards Maglo. Maglo, you are quickly surrounded by these rough-looking people that are dressed in varied mismatch armor and bits of old fabric that have been bound together. But the one thing that you notice about all of them is that consistently they have a purple band that is tied around their upper arm, and on that is a symbol. I'm going to make perception checks for you and Doddle. Neither of you got it. So while you can see that there are symbols on their arms, you cannot make out what those symbols are. All three of these individuals, as they have moved forward, are going to attack you. So they don't seem to pay much attention to the small child that is standing in the corner of this alleyway, but they do take issue with you pointing that gun and shooting it at someone within the alley. So Maglo, what is your armor class?
It is a special ticket of 15 today, because he has a little bonus.
So 2 of the attacks that have swung at you have completely missed. However, the third individual, who seems to be perhaps more well-trained, he's a little larger, he has a shaved head and some tattoos along his neck, and a series of very large hoop earrings that are inset into his ears. Very, very rough-looking person steps in front of you and has a mace and swings at you heavily with it. He hits you twice. The others have missed completely as they kind of gather around you, and they're swinging long swords. But the larger man, as his mace lifts up, it crashes into the side of you, and you take 15 points of damage, Maglo. And it's bludgeoning, yeah. So he hits you hard, and you feel your knees buckle. Make an acrobatics check just to see if you botch it and drop your gun.
18.
So you actually do manage to hold on to your gun, but you nearly hit the ground as the weight of this mace crashes into you not once but twice. You feel like a cracking on your side. You think maybe a rib just popped, and you begin bruising underneath all of your garb. You can tell that there are probably thick, giant, purple bruises working their way across your form right now. Then we go to Hawke. Hawke, what are you doing when you enter into this alleyway?
So I just see everything kind of in bedlam right now. Yeah, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get between the small child and the nerd. So I go in and I push Maglo kind of aside. And I'm gonna hold up my sword. I look at the three of them. Do you really want to do this today?
Okay, so go ahead and make, I'm gonna have you make an intimidation check.
That's a 16.
All right, let me see how they react to it. One of them, the one that is furthest away from you on the other side of the individual that you've referred to as the nerd, kind of stops and looks to you and then looks back at the others. The other two don't seem to be moved by your statement, but you might have actually put some doubt into one of them. The other two, however, continue to pummel upon this man that's in front of you and pay you very little mind.
All right. I still locked on the guy that looks like he has doubt in his eyes. I look at him. Let's do this. And I'm going to attack the one in the center with my greatsword. Yeah, that guy.
Okay, go ahead and position yourself. You can't. You step actually in front of. Yeah, you kind of push Maglo back, and you step in front. And the large man who has just hit Maglo with this massive mace stops and looks at you, and then he kind of raises himself up, and he's a good head taller than you are, and he's heavily muscled. He kind of like takes his hand and rubs it across his bald head and flicks some sweat down on the ground, and you're going to go ahead and attack. So make a roll to strike, please.
Okay, I am going to do a green flame blade attack. So first
your sword bursts into flame, and I'm going to roll for the one that you've intimidated. So the one that's standing here immediately stumbles backwards and falls over a box. As he tries to get away from you, scared by the ignition of your blade as the flames begin licking across it. Somewhere in the far distance, you hear as a raven screeches across the sky, and your blade is now burning with this magical arcane flame. The thug that you've intimidated, eyes wide with the glint of this green flame reflecting off of his eyes, stumbles backwards and falls, nearly tripping over a series of crates that are laid out in this alleyway.
For the larger guy, that's 16 with 10 slashing damage. And then for the spell effect, it is another 7 damage with 6 splashing on the guy next to him right here.
So you do strike, and you do rake your blade across the front of this thug, and he stops for a moment and kind of grimaces as you can see that there are burns that are working their way up across the side of his face as your blade has cut through a large swath of his leather armor, and you see the chainmail underneath that has been like heavily damaged, and he certainly has taken a hit, but he's still standing.
Beautiful. And then the guy next to him takes 6 damage.
Okay, so the flames from your blade ignite outward, and they splash across the side of this other thug as this gang member stumbles back, trying to remove the flame from them, patting themselves down and shouting out, "What the? Ah!"
And while I do that, I'm not taking my eyes off the guy that stumbled backwards.
Do you have a second attack or any other action that you would like to take?
Actually, no other attack. I'm not going to divine.
All right. Siraye, you are on top of the roof right now.
Yeah, where's that tiefling?
Yeah,
I don't care what's going on down there. I want to fucking kill that tiefling.
How do you really feel, though? Yeah, so you actually do manage to see the tiefling ahead of you on the slate roofs, charging past you. Over a number of these ridges, jumping between the buildings, which are very close together but still have these gaps that drop 2 to 3 stories downward. And you have been running across these buildings. Below you, you hear some sort of ruckus as you see a flash of magical green flame, and there's a heavy wall of fog that is rolling across the cobblestones below. You jump.
I don't care. I just want to kill that tiefling.
All right, I've got to get you to the point where you can kill the tiefling.
Okay, great.
So just bear with me here for a moment. And...
No, I know. I'm in character.
No, I get it.
Okay.
So, you are probably about 40 feet away from the tiefling at this point.
Sweet.
What do you do as they continue to run away?
I can't do anything because he is too far away. So I'm going to. What do I got? Oh, I have no key points left. Fuck that. I'm going to. I'm just gonna try and catch up to him. I'm gonna sprint my little booty off and try and catch up to him.
All right,
and not lose sight of him. The big thing is if I don't want to lose sight of him at all.
So if you spend your entire round just charging forward, I will allow you to make an acrobatics check against his acrobatics check, and we will see who succeeds at moving across these rooftops.
Woof, not great. I got a 14.
Well, it's not horrendous. It's above average. You do manage to catch up. He's about 10 feet away from you, and there is a series of rooftops that you can tell that this tiefling is gauging whether or not to jump across a larger gap that's a little more risky to try to leave you further behind. To remind you, the name of this tiefling is Billix Newfar, and he is rake thin, red-skinned, and has a sharp pointed tail with spikes across it, horns on his head, and really dark purple eyes, covered in daggers and leather armor, and then has a very big billowous coat with a hood. The hood has been blown back, and you see the full horns and his strange features as this tiefling is kind of scrambling across this roof, trying to get away from you. That is your turn. We are starting then at the top, and we're going to begin with the individual who has been pulled back into this cloud. You can't see what's going on, but you hear the whinny of the horse, and you know that something is happening inside of the space of that fog cloud. There is something, a clatter on the roof for all who are on the alleyway, ground level. And I'm rolling some perception checks. And outside of Hawke, all of you are oblivious to what is happening above you due to the situation at ground level. Hawke, there is not one, not two, but 4 separate noises that are happening across the rooftop in this alleyway. And as you glance up, you see a number of silhouettes, and one of them, at least, very clearly, has a longbow and is knocking an arrow. So we're going to start at past the individuals in the fog cloud. We then move over to Maglo. Maglo, what would you like to do?
Maglo's like on his knees, like slowly gets up. He's gonna try and look to see if his book is anywhere before the fog cloud.
Yeah, you do not see your book.
I'm so helpful.
Hey, it's before you knew how to play D&D. It's all in character. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, I want to make an intelligence check because Maglo's going to look at you said that the person who hit him with the mace had these large hoop earrings, right?
Yep.
Maglo wants to make an intelligence, see if he can see what metal they are.
So go ahead and make an intelligence check. Actually, you can make a nature roll if you like.
20, not nat.
You think that they're made of bronze.
With that, he puts his left hand in his messenger bag. He pulls out half the ingredients for a thing that he needs and slaps his hand onto the bronze. He's going to cast Acid Splash on their face, but using the bronze as the last component that he needs, and then is going to run past him. So he's purely using. He is angry about the fact that he just got beaten and is like, "Fuck you! I'm going to burn those dumbass earrings into your fucking head."
All right. So just roll to strike with the acid.
That's a 20 non-nat.
Okay, so that definitely is going to hit. Go ahead and roll your damage.
The damage is already rolled, and they've already rolled really bad, which is, it's 5, but it's +4 because he's using alchemical components, so it's 9 altogether.
Like 9 is very respectable.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, there's this crash across his face as this acid splashes, and he screams bloody murder. Ah! What the fuck? And you see like a sizzle as he nearly falls to his knees. The slash from this large armored man standing in front of you was less destructive than the splash of acid across his bare skin, and he's holding his face and screaming, backing away, and he's going to be operating with a disadvantage as he is currently dealing with not only an immense amount of pain, but also is blinded.
Maglo is then going to use this opportunity to run into the fog. Buzz, we need to find that book. And commanding Buzz to try and help them out.
Busby begins flying in the air and shining lights into the fog cloud.
He's going to be taking the 2 opportunity attacks. That's fine. He's got bigger things on his mind at the minute.
Yeah, one of them is not going to hit you, but I will try. The other one will try. Surprising no one. The one that you blinded with acid misses you as he swings just wildly with his mace. The second one does connect with his sword and does 5 points of damage as you take a cut across the shoulder as you pull out of range of this warrior.
Does Maglo know that Doddle cast the fog cloud?
You don't know because you were not facing Doddle.
He's just going to assume that it was them who cast it.
Right.
And he's just going to keep running. He's sprinting in like, Busby, we need help finding that book.
All right, Doddle, you were up. What would you like to do?
Do I hear Maglo being like, we need that book?
You hear everything in the alley, and I don't think that Maglo was being quiet or trying to be stealthy about what he was saying. So I would say everybody hears it, including your opponents.
Okay. Do I have a good grasp on which of the shadows I see is the one with the book?
Make an intelligence check at a disadvantage.
Why a disadvantage?
Because there is a fog cloud that is playing a cup game with your opponents.
What dumb fucker put a fog cloud there?
Take it up with management. There.
What about intelligence?
Your intelligence, whatever bonus you have, roll the d20 and do it twice and take the lower.
Oh, that's 6!
Natural 1, actually. It is a 6, but it is also a natural 1, my friend. So you need to roll it again.
3.
Okay, you didn't get 2 natural 1s, which means that I'm not going to have you target your potential friends here. However, you think you know exactly where that individual is.
Yeah, fuck it, let's be dumb. Doddle's gonna be like, oh, this guy that I really need to like me and be my friend needs a book from that specific person there. So I'm just gonna run into the fog cloud, because maybe we can come to some sort of agreement. Maybe I can pay for the book, or maybe if we just communicate to these guys that we really need that book because I'd really like to go home, I'm sure that we can come to some sort of diplomatic understanding. So I'm just gonna run right into the fog cloud and to the guy that has the book.
I need you to make, when you get about 10 feet forward, I need you to make an acrobatics check, please.
Yeah, I can do that. 14.
So the larger armored individual with a huge bucket-like helmet that's been heavily dented, has some rust across the side of it. You see a large beard kind of shoved out, pushing out like a tree branches almost from inside of this helmet. Wearing old armor and patched together leather, holding this enormous sword, still dripping with some of Maglo's blood as Maglo has just tried to walk out of his range of attack. Looks at you, Hawke, looks at you in the eye, and then you can see underneath the helm a smile crack across his ugly face as he reaches an arm out, grabs Doddle off the ground and picks her up, holding his sword up to her throat. He has succeeded in grappling you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does me trying to go into the fog cloud and getting caught only count as a movement?
Yes, you didn't do any actions.
And I still cast a cantrip.
Yes, I will allow you to cast a cantrip, but what I will have you do before you cast that cantrip, with your +5 modifier, let's see if you can keep your concentration. It's not a concentration type spell, but I just want to see if as you're snatched up off the ground, if it throws you off.
So 12.
So 17.
Yeah.
You do manage to cast the spell without a problem. You were snatched up off the ground very quickly. There's a blade up against your throat. It doesn't prevent you from casting the spell, however.
Okay, I'm just gonna scream like, ah! And then throw my hands back and grab onto the guy that's holding me, and I'd like to cast Shocking Grasp. Please, and thank you.
Yep.
Shock him!
You have an advantage on your touch attack.
That's an 18, so that's 11 points of lightning damage if it hits.
He drops you and screams backwards as this explosion of electricity ignites around this small goblin. He stumbles back. Meanwhile, Calder, you are in the kitchen of the Mangy Dog. This tavern is perhaps the most dangerous and disgusting place within the dock ward. Its clientele is a mixture of villainous, shadowed, underworld operators and destitute sailors who care very little for their digestive health. The bar itself is a circular affair that stretches around a central hearth. And in the back room, which is little more than a series of wooden walls that are poorly cobbled together, you are surrounded by large basins filled with a brown, murky water and stacks of old dishes and pots and tankards as far as the eye can see. You've been working now for a few hours. Everything has been fairly quiet, but I need you to make a Constitution saving throw to see how you stomach the filth that is currently the wash tubs and the plates themselves.
Oh, please. Just, I can't see anything. Oh, that's a 1. That's a natural.
No.
That's a...
You rolled a natural 1 on your Constitution saving throw to see if you were going to be sick. And you are, in fact, retching in a corner at a number of the really molded and turned bits of rotten meat that have maggots swarming across them in the back part of this tavern. You didn't know it was there. You started to move plates, and you uncovered pretty much the fresh carcass of what looks like it used to be an entire side of deer that has been left here to rot. And
not the best hangover job.
Yeah, and due to your state from the night before, because you're a sailor, you've been in some fairly tough situations. However, you've made yourself sick in this moment, and you find a corner and clear the remaining remnants of your breakfast.
Well, I assume I'm a little preoccupied with that for a minute, but do you have any idea what's going on outside of the back room?
Yeah, so you every once in a while you stick your head out and you take an assessment of the space for the tavern itself. It is almost always busy, and despite how filthy and ill-kept this place is, there is a steady stream of ne'er-do-wells that come in and out as the day progresses. There are a number of areas in the back that have recessed seating in booths that are of a higher quality than most of the rest of the tavern. And these areas become hubs for what you can only assume to be underworld organizations and the operation of black market dealings. You know that if you are to find this individual, most likely they will be taking a seat at one of these tables at some point within the course of the day. The information that you have is that they are regulars to this establishment. However, currently there are very few individuals in those seats, and the general flow of the business seems to be sailors looking to forget their troubles and a number of small-time thieves fencing items between each other, kind of in shaded areas. You stick your head through. The owner of this establishment is Mr. Gallowblight. He is a ponderously large man.
What a name.
Yeah. Gallowblight is covered from head to toe in weeping boils that leak fluid, and there's a glossy sheen across his skin from these horrid red-looking angry boils.
Amazing.
He has a bald head and half of a mustache that droops down on his face. The other part of his face has scars that work their way up, and it looks as if some wild creature had like raked across part of his face, which you can relate to. However, it has prevented him from being able to grow a full mustache. So now he has half of a mustache and this really broad, heavy set, and keeps a close eye on the bar from behind it, working and spitting into tankards and scrubbing it with a dirty rag. When he sees you glancing into the main space, he puts down his tankard and starts walking back towards you. What do you do?
Smile and wave. Like, hey.
You were given this job at the turn of a copper piece. As you had entered in, and there was apparently a murder that happened in the center of the tavern. And rather than ask too many questions about the murder, you immediately asked if there was work.
Yeah.
And Gallowblight appreciated that mentality and hired you on the spot as his new dishwasher. And you have been working now for a few hours. He kind of walks over, and he's rolling his sleeves up, and you can see a network of old sailor tattoos across his forearms, and steps into the back room with you. I have an understanding that you'll have all of this completed before the end of the day, yes?
Yes, sir.
What is your name?
He's not going to risk lying right now, I guess. My name is Cal.
Cal, I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything else. I don't want to know your life story. I don't want to know where you came from. I don't want to know who you killed or why. In all the gods' names, you're washing dishes in my tavern. All I want to know is that you're gonna do what I ask you to do when I ask it.
As long as I've got all of the limbs that I need to carry out the task, sir.
I hope that that's the case. Now, there are some tables in the back. If you could clear those off. Continue. Are you doing anything back here, Cal? And he starts looking around, and you've done a number of dishes, but
yeah.
I wouldn't say that you've put much of a dent in all of this.
I am doing what I can, sir. It might help if I could have maybe something to boil some water with.
Oh, I see. You want boiled water? Well, perhaps I could lay down the good silverware. Or, oh wait, I forgot. We're in the Mangy Dog. Fuck off and get to work.
Yeah, yes, sir. All right, understood.
So
he makes way to go and clear the tables. Like, oh.
Yeah, you step out, and in the tavern there is there's like a really sickly looking bard that is pale and clearly drunk, plunking away at a lyre. And the lyre is missing all but 2 strings. And the bard kind of leans back in the chair. Her half of her hair is put up in like a braid, but the other half has come undone probably 3 days ago. And she has a smear of lipstick across her face that almost makes her look like she has a jester's paint on. But you could tell that was actually not the intention. Just kind of the unfortunate occurrence that has happened. She sits there and she's got her feet kicked up, and you hear ding 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 as she's like trying to play something on 2 strings and it's failing horribly. The rest of the clientele here do not seem to be paying her any mind. There are a loose scattering of coppers kind of on the floor around her. But in the back, you see these tables, and there are dirty dishes stacked up across them. What do you do?
I'm gonna go and start gathering up the dirty dishes and say to the bard, I like the minimalist instrument style. It's very nice. And starts gathering up the dishes.
I am an expert bard. Let me tell you, handsome, I've played for kings and queens in the grandest halls. And throughout my travels, I've learned one thing. I need a drink.
Noted. Well, I mean, he gestures to the ground with the coins, like it seems to be working out for you. Can I put something in for you?
Oh, you could. And she leans kind of forward.
Right then. And he bends down and he picks up a coin, like, I'll go get you a drink.
Okay, so you go and you grab her a drink. Yeah, she continues to pluck away as people come in and out of the bar and start moving about their business. In the back, though, as you're doing all of this, you do see a man enter. And as he does, the bar quiets. He's wearing light blue robes and has a high collar and a completely shaved head. And he's very muscled and doesn't look to be built the way that you would expect a wizard or a sorcerer to be built. However, this large, muscular, robed man with a shaved head passes by, glaring at everyone as he moves. And you see upon his hand, as he waves to the bartender, not a wave of hello. It's more of a dispassionate, I am here, serve me sort of motion with his hand. And upon that right hand, you see a blue ring that glimmers in the low burning light of the tavern. And this man walks into the back and sits down back against a wall facing the door and watches over the entire tavern. His eyes are taking in everything around him. And eventually, as you're carrying this drink back to the very inebriated bard, he stops and he looks at you. and he locks eyes with you. Make an insight check, please.
9.
All right. So you don't know what the expression upon his face means, but you know when someone doesn't like you. And you can tell immediately that this man has decided in this moment that something about you is off and that he doesn't like you. You don't know exactly what his intentions are or why he may feel that way about you, but you do know that you've probably set yourself up immediately for a hard road if you wish to discuss anything with him.
I assume that they're like tankards that he's cleaning up, right? It's not like...
No, Cal's picking up plate. Yeah, you are picking up some bowls that have been sitting around. You're picking up tankards. Yeah.
All right, so he's gonna like fumble and drop a tankard and like in a very goofy like wart from the Sword in the Stone sort of way, like pick them up, nothing like that will shatter, but he's just sort of gonna try and make himself seem as non-threatening as possible by pretending to be a goon, like basically.
Yeah. So you do that. Make a performance check for me, please.
Please, just let me.
Let me just be bumbly and awkward. That's a natural 20.
Hey, that's good. Okay.
So I do need you to roll that again to see if you get a second natural 20. That is another natural 20. You've rolled 2 natural 20s in a row.
You're promoted.
All right. So Az, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
You could alter the campaign forever in this moment as you try to look like a bumbling dishwasher.
I rolled a 7. I don't know why I'm relieved, but
As you did roll 2 natural 20s in a row, so that means a miraculous benefit is occurring because of this action. So you do this, and you move about, and you kind of fumble and drop some plates, and you do so in such an artful way that everything lands exactly as you intended. It is the performance of your life, perhaps, as you stumble forward and knock a few things over, and it's not in a destructive way that angers anyone. You don't bump into anyone that would probably resent it. You manage to perfectly make a complete ass out of yourself without building or garnering the ire of anyone else around you. In fact, you endear yourself to the crowd, and there's a roar of laughter within the tavern as the mangy dog sets alight with the heavy kind of gruff tones of all of these drunken sailors laughing at you. And from somewhere in the back, you hear the voice of this robed mage. Gallowblight, your young boy here. He's new. I like him. And it echoes through as Gallowblight kind of nods. Yeah, I knew right away to hire the young lad. I'll have him serve you. And he looks at you with kind of a glare.
Cal just like smiles like, okay. Like he knows this is important. Like, I'll try not to fuck this up, sir.
And you start to approach the mage in the back, and he kind of keeps a level face, and you think he's smiling, but it's a very neutral expression, one that doesn't really expose much of his internal thought. But he seems pleased, and any of his initial distaste with you seems to have been completely removed. So you're new here.
That's right, sir. I am just passing through. Needed a little work. Not much in the way for wayward sailors.
You do seem a little rough around the edges, but I can't help but see that you are perhaps not so desperate as to need a job washing dishes here.
Yeah, well, I don't say that I ever feel desperate exactly, sir. As you see, I can usually make the best of a mess.
Indeed you can. It's impressive. I won't pry. It's your business. But I'm connected with organizations that if you were criminally charged with something, as long as the offense were fairly minor, it could be expunged if you were willing to work for that removal. I have need of sharp-eyed sailors who can assist me in the removal of troublesome targets. You have a blade, don't you?
I do. Somewhere in the back amongst the piles of dishes.
So I must ask you, and of course, I'll allow you to go about your business, but do you wish to be a dishwasher for the rest of your life?
Decidedly not, sir.
And then I must ask you, just how dirty are you willing to get your hands?
They cannot possibly be dirtier than they are right now.
Yeah, so he's stroking his little goatee as he you see the ring glinting in the tavern light as he's talking to you. I want none of the stew. I'll just take an ale and the wine that the old man keeps behind the bar, corked just for me. Don't give me any of the glasses that he's touched. I want you to clean one for me yourself.
Yes, sir. I'll be
All
right back.
He slaps down a gold piece. There's a golden dragon on the table, and they're shaped like hourglasses, and the coin kind of like clinks as it strikes onto the table, and he pushes it towards.
Hal like looks at it like that's a okay, and he cautiously takes it. Like
as you grab it, he grabs your wrist and pulls your sleeve up, and is checking for tattoos or markings. Do you have any on your upper arm?
And not on my arms, just the
Yeah. So he nods and then releases your hand.
Cal looks at his arm and is fair enough. I'll just take this to Gallopite and get you your drink, sir.
He nods as you step away. And you go and you retrieve a cup and you clean it and you bring the wine and all of that. And we'll come back to you, Cal. June, you are in the grove outside of the city walls. And you are huddled underneath an old dead tree that branches outward. There are small patches of remaining growth outside of the city itself. Most have been torn down in the aid of constructing the city itself, and also for defensive purposes. Many of the trees in about a mile radius of the city itself have been completely removed. There is the looming vision of Mount Waterdeep in front of you. It is an enormous peak of a mountain that is set around the city off to one side, and then the walls and all of the stone sentinels. And the sun is very slowly setting off in the distance. Your companion has been very quiet, and you hear every once in a while the scraping of blades as they are sharpened against the stone.
June just kind of relaxes a little, comes out of her meditation state, and just cracks an eyeball to see what he's doing.
The tabaxi cat person is black-furred and has their hood pulled back. And you see the ragged patches and the streaks of gray that are worked throughout the black cat's fur. They have before them a very finely wrought and maintained blade. And it's a dagger, and they are running it across a whetstone and sharpening it, and have a number of arrows that they have been sharpening the tips of. They're in a tree above you and have all of this laid out on the branches very nimbly, and are balanced in a very precarious manner. Their tail kind of whips back and forth, and you can see the glint of their eyes in the reflected light off in the distance.
She sighs and... So how are you going to get us into the city?
I've spent quite a while seeking all of the secrets that the wall holds. If you look, and you know how to look, what they build, it has flaws. You can climb.
I've tried that. How long are we waiting? We're waiting until the sun sets, or what will you have me do besides resting?
We are waiting for the sun to set. And when it does, I will take you to the spot that I found. And there, we will get you inside of the city so that you can do the Oaken Lord's will.
You know, I don't know if I feel comfortable with you sharpening your tools above my head.
He stops. You hear leather as he packs up all the weapons and closes them up. And then, as he puts them all away, he repositions himself and looks off towards the horizon. He turns back to you.
June of the forest. We do as nature does. We wait and we grow.
He turns back.
Can I do an insight check on this dude?
You can. Certainly, this figure has done very little to ease your mind with his guidance in this situation. You have very little to go on, and as you are studying him, you've rolled an 18 on your insight. Since his hood is down, you notice these small areas across his body that seem to be scars. And you can tell by the way that this tabaxi holds himself that he's been wounded often. And there is a ragged appearance to him. It seems as if he has been harmed deeply in the past. And you don't know if it's perhaps some sort of internal spark that the gods are giving you in this moment. But you come to the realization that this strange cat person has very little reason to trust anyone. And he is certainly hiding something.
You say you're going to help me because of my connection to my god. But what else do you want?
You bear the marks of one who shepherds the forest. I can smell it on you. When the time comes, and you leave this blight known as Waterdeep, I will find you. And if you are able, I will ask your help. Does that make you more comfortable if I expect something in return for my services?
There's nothing wrong with respect, even if it's for a stranger. And there's also nothing wrong with asking for a favor after one's been done. However, if I refuse when you ask for that favor, what will it cost me?
Are you afraid of me?
No.
The tabaxi turns and slinks across the top of the tree line, moving very quietly. jumping from branch to branch, circling you.
You know what it's like when those who are from the city, when the humans find things they don't like, things they don't understand. You know what they do. You know why they do them. And they thrive. And they destroy. And they break. And they leave us. All the green places are being killed and destroyed by them. They're taking it all away. Leaving ash. I am not your enemy, June. And when I ask for a favor, if you choose not to give it, I will hold no ill will.
I guess that's another thing that separates you and I from them then, huh?
They treat us like monsters. They are the monsters.
And he turns and just keeps looking back at the horizon. His tail flicks every once in a while. Like, you know how cats are when they are watching a bird in the distance? So like when he looks out at the city, that's what his tail does. It kind of like it becomes not playful, it's very pointed like hunter behavior, but you can tell from that and your insight roll that he's eager to make anyone from the city that has built places like this pay for what they've done to nature.
Morally, June, she feels bad for agreeing, but also justified in the fact that maybe one day it'll all go back to the earth. So she just kind of tilts her head up and turns to watch with him.
And as the sun sets, eventually he turns back to you. It's quiet for like an hour. Neither of you say anything else after that point. And he turns back and just nods and begins leaping down, gathering all of his pouches and items. They're tied very tightly to his body. And he pulls his hood up and his cloak, he opens it up a little further and starts to stalk on the ground very low, off of the road, not looking back at you.
Okay, then homegirl's gonna crouch and just follow the kitty.
Okay, so you crouch. Make a stealth roll for me, please.
Come on, mama. Whoop. 7.
Okay, after a while, you continue to kind of like scrape along the ground. You stumble a little bit. Scratch stops and turns around and then silently tracks back to you. His face is close to yours and you see his large yellow eyes as he looms right in front of you.
I can help you if you stay close.
All right, I'll stay close.
He picks up a handful of dirt that's around him, and he scatters it out in front.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear him under his breath. He's speaking in a language that you don't know. It's very strange. He keeps you close to him, and as he does, as you notice you're moving through, neither you nor he are leaving any tracks as you both move kind of between the shadows and begin darting and dodging in little rocky crevices and pushing your way around the walls of Waterdeep. And he leads you over as the sky becomes darker and darker, and you see torch lights and smoke start to billow off from the city. It looks like on the other side of the wall, it's fairly bright, even though it's nighttime, because all of this artificial light kind of has become very apparent from the other side of the wall. There are torches along the top of the crenellations on the wall itself, and you and your companion skirt the side of this wall very, very easily. You notice that you're not making as much noise as you were making before, and that it's very easy for you to move in a fluid manner. And again, there are no tracks that are left behind as you and your companion move forward. You make your way to a grate that is attached to a cistern that is on the side of the wall itself, and it pours into a small ravine where there is a thick, murky water pouring out of it, and there are enormous metal grates all around it that block it off, and a rat could crawl through most of these spaces. No one else could. Scratch stops and then turns back to you. Do you trust me?
Is that a trick question? Fine. Yes, I do.
Come with me. And he turns, and we'll come back to you. Elerie, you are standing in the middle of the southern ward of Waterdeep, and there is a bustle of the city around you, and it has begun to rain. So there is a wash of drizzle that has been pelting you from the offset as you have walked here all the way from the dock ward. You have followed the address that has been given to you by Artificer Inquisitor Sternward, and you are in front of a very large building. It is a massive structure, and to the side of it is an enormous keep that has been attached in, and it has walls that stretch out as far as you can see. A veritable castle in the middle of this town square. In front of it, you see a number of makeshift wooden stages that have been erected, and on one of them you see gallows and a number of criminals being hung from those gallows.
I just take a moment to look up and see if I recognize any of them. Give them like a little oof, glad it's not me.
Spoken like a true rogue. Yeah, thankfully you do not recognize any of those unfortunate souls that are currently hanging from the gallows.
Oh, good. Haha. Alrighty. Well, that seems to be good news for me, considering if any of my, companions had been up there, anybody I had known, wouldn't be looking good for me right now. It'd be on to me. So, I guess I'll proceed with going into the building, without much care further.
Yeah, so you do manage to make your way into the building. There are these enormous pillars of marble that stretch out and form a large hallway as you walk through a pair of open double doors that are massive, 30 feet in height. And as you walk in, there is a single desk in the opening of a checkerboard marble floor, and there are people milling about, and you can hear all the sounds of the marketplace in the central area of the this town square out in the middle of the bustle of the southern ward. But inside there are people who are quickly moving from various tasks within this space. But the desk is what you're drawn to as you walk down a finely woven red carpet, and across the side are large stained glass windows that depict various states of justice, whether it be angelic forms or the figures of various gods. All of them have various indications of the law and legality being served through these forms of art that are expressed in these stained glass windows. And the light that is cast in here, even though it is gray outside, is a mixed hue of blues and purples, as there is a cool, very neutral wash of light within this place. And as you approach, you see an older man sitting behind the desk with a pair of spectacles riding low upon his face, and a pile of books and other scrolls in front of him.
I'm so glad this place has visual aids. Can I take a moment to just look around? Perhaps for the first thing I would look for is the best way out of here. Something gets a little too heated.
You do kind of spot the only entrance is the way, or the only exit is the way that you came in. And those double doors are stretched back behind you quite a ways. So if you were to try to make a hasty escape, you wouldn't be able to do so easily. There are 3 sets of hallways that branch off from this central area. There's one to the right, one to the left, and one behind the desk. And all of them are closed with large double doors. Every once in a while, you see figures emerge from them. And there are a large number of city watch that are stationed within the outskirts of this building. There are a number of boards that have been hung up on the sides of this hallway. They are various statements that have been posted, and broadsheets and offers for hire for those who are seeking employment. And there are some individuals that are milling about those areas. But other than that, it is this table and the individual sitting behind it.
This place just feels so uncomfortable to be in. I feel like I'm breaking like every law just walking in. Go up to this person, perhaps with pull out the summons that I have, because this feels like something I'm going to need to show.
As you do, the individual, without saying a word, holds out his hand.
With a smile, hand it on over.
You hand him the scroll, and he opens it, reads it, and then passes it back to you.
One moment, please. You may take a seat if you like. You will be called when it is your time.
All right, thanks.
You are quite welcome.
And Elerie, I guess, just goes over and sits in that area. Is there anybody nearby?
No, you're seated upon a marble bench by yourself. You see one of these boards off to the side, and you see wanted posters scattered across it. And you see City Watch march past, dragging a very destitute-looking older man by the collar. And the man is skidding.
I didn't do it. I'm innocent. It wasn't me. I have an alibi. Please, no. I don't wish to, I would do no harm to the masked lords. I follow the code legal.
And this guard just drags them outside.
Under Elerie's breath, she just goes, that was me last week.
And in the distance, you hear the shout of the crowd as they begin cheering. And then a few moments later, you hear the drop of the gallows and the twang of the rope. And then
that could have been me last week.
The crowd erupts with cheers. The guard walks back in and steps through a pair of those doors. And as you're watching all of this very pointed old man behind the desk is staring at you.
Elerie Seaborn, is that you?
Yes, indeed, that is I.
The inspector will see you now.
And there is a guard that appears, stepping up next to this old man.
Elerie just instinctively puts her arms up like, oh, not big. No, okay.
No one laughs. The entire hall is just dead silent. You could hear the drop of a pin.
Very well. Shall we?
The guard says nothing to you, turns on his heel, and leads you through the set of double doors into some well-appointed, well-maintained hallways. You lose track of where you're at within this building as you are marched upstairs and down corridors and through doorways until eventually you stand before a set of oak double doors that are very richly stained, and across the front of them is a brass plaque that says in the common tongue, Artificer Inquisitor Sternward. And the guard stops, knocks, and then turns and takes a position of guard at the door. Enter.
I'm going to enter, and as I walk by this guard, just let me know if you see anything, all right?
The guard says nothing to you, and the hallway is silent. You could hear a pin drop.
Tough crowd.
You step into a very finely appointed office, and there is a fire in a hearth that is on the far side of the room. There is an enormous window that opens up over the courtyard that you have just passed through. And you can see that the Inquisitor's window looks down upon the gallows perfectly, as if it were a front row seat to the festivities of each and every execution that takes place there. Every once in a while, as you stand there, you see another individual being walked up, and you hear proclaimments of crimes and then the eventual hanging of an individual. There's a pair of plush chairs that are seated by the fire, a bearskin rug that is stretched out before it, a small brass cart that is full with decanters that are filled with liquor and crystal glasses. And there is a large, very ostentatious desk that has been hand carved with what look to be dragons that are arching themselves up and around this, completely carved out of wood, holding up an enormous marble top. And the marble top is a dark black scattering of color with a working of red across it that is like lightning. And there are scrolls and books very neatly piled here, and the walls are covered in shelves, and every shelf has enormous tomes and bundles of scrolls that line all the way up to the ceiling. There are a number of wheeled ladders that are inset along the shelves here, and in this chamber, as you enter, you see the figure of Inquisitor Sternward, the gentleman who had approached you back at the dock ward and ever so kindly insisted upon your presence here today. However, he is not alone. There are two other people in the room with him. One is a broad-shouldered, almost thuggish-looking man. He has a bald head and a number of rolls underneath his chin that are covered by a scratchy and poorly grown beard. The beard is streaked with gray, and he has bulbous eyes, making him feel less human, perhaps, as these dark eyes seem to be trying to protrude themselves out of his skull, pushing their way forward. They're watery, and they are, however, sharp and full of intelligence. The man is wearing a blue robe, upon which is emblazoned a number of embroidered runic symbols. Behind this man is a thinner, much more athletic figure. You are uncertain of their gender, but they are wearing a wooden mask, and their features are completely hidden. It is finely polished and worked with red carvings of roses that work their way around this mask. They're wearing dark leather armor and have a hood pulled up about them. You can see that at their side are two blades and at least 6 daggers that you can count on their personage.
I feel my heart sink into my chest. Elerie, first of all, checks their hips, shoulders, really quick. I would think perhaps to see if there's any sigils that she could recognize to know who she's dealing with.
Yeah, you can make an Arcana check.
Ooh.
That is a 10. You don't recognize these particular sigils, but you think that they may have something to do with protecting this individual.
All right, so they think I'm deadly.
Yeah. So, well, you also think that this might be part of what they wear on a regular basis to protect themselves. On the right hand of this individual in the powder blue robes, you see a blue ring that is shining in the light of the fire that is just next to the chair that he's sitting in. You enter, you take a look at the situation, and Sternward is standing with a book open by the window. Looks to you. slams the book shut, and then sets it down on the desk. Well, we are quite glad you were able to join us.
I've managed to fit you in.
To our great pleasure, nonetheless. Please, have a seat.
Very well. Elerie takes a seat and makes herself a little comfortable. Perhaps a little too comfortable. She's kind of leaning in it, really owning the chair situation she's in.
So the man that's sitting in the plush chair across from you looks at you and kind of squints a little as you sit down. Make an insight check, please. That's a 7.
Come on, Elerie.
You have no idea what this strange individual is thinking. Sternward, you had said that this individual would be of use. You said nothing of their beauty.
Oh. Elerie just like flips her hair a little bit instantly. It is so wonderful to meet somebody who can easily recognize that.
Sternward kind of scowls. Smygor, do not be taken by this rogue, please. We have business to attend to. If you wish to fraternize on your own time, by all means. Elerie Seaborn, I would like to introduce you to Archmage Gerwald Smygor, a magus of the Watchful Order. Are you familiar with the Watchful Order?
I've heard of them. They're pretty watchful. I'm sure you've heard that so many times before, though. Right? Yes.
Sternward like slams the book down on the table. It's just loud, like. I have asked my associate to join us because I believe the information that you have will need a certain amount of verification. Not only do I not trust you, but I know that you're actively willing to lie to us.
Lie? I don't think I've lied to you a day in my life.
The Inquisitor turns and opens a drawer on the desk and pulls out a green-hued stone that he sets on the end table in the chair between you and the Archmage. And immediately he licks his finger and then touches the stone, and there's a rune that lights and glows upon it. You can make an Arcana check. 17. You think that this is an artifact and that he's just enacted its power. In fact, you can hear kind of a gentle hum coming from the stone.
Now, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure that's not necessary, right?
Oh, it's quite necessary, my friend. It is a stone that will ensure that anything that you say is verified to be the truth. So please, tell me again about how you have never lied to me. We're waiting.
Well, you got me there. So, shall we continue?
Oh, we shall. And he takes a seat at another chair across from the other two that you and Smygor are sitting in. And at his desk, he begins flipping through some papers, and he pulls out a quill, dips it into an ink pot, and then looks to you. I want you to start at the beginning. Tell me about how you came upon the Siren's Call.
The very beginning.
The very beginning. And we'll come back to you. All right. So meanwhile, in an alley on the other side of town, not too far away, Hawke, it is your action. Doddle has just shocked the thug that has grabbed onto her, pulled her up off of the street, the cobblestone, and put his blade right up against her throat. As she throws her hands back, and the small goblinoid girl exudes this wave of electrical energy that racks through his body. He drops her immediately and barely holds onto his own sword. Doddle is now free, although landed somewhat roughly on the ground in front of you. What would you like to do, Hawke?
Hawke's holding a sword. We're dealing with that later. I'm gonna turn around and I see the guy with the long bow knocking his arrow. I hold out my hand and it begins to kind of thrum and vibrate. And as it does, it shoots out 2 bolts of purplish energy at the man with the longbow up here above Maglo.
Okay, go ahead and roll to strike, please.
All right, and that's 2 beams.
You're shooting your Eldritch Blast, so there's this buildup of Eldritch power.
So that's a 17 and a 19.
17 and a 19, both are going to hit. So you can roll. What's your damage on the combined strike?
It is 15 points.
Okay, so as your hands reach out, this eldritch energy builds up, and you blast it across the alleyway. It lights up the fog cloud that is spreading out and starting to thin maybe a little bit. And as it blares forward, you strike the individual who looses the arrow and shoots it up in the air, shouting, "Ah!" as your energy has caused them to misfire their bow. They are still clamoring up there, though. It looks like they're still alive.
You mentioned that there's a man in full plate armor somewhere here, or like in like really big guy. Is that the guy that I hit the first time?
The really big guy was wearing mismatched armor and has acid thrown into his face. The armored individual is the one that grabbed Doddle.
Right. I shoot it off. I turn, I look at him, and I mutter, "You're next," in Undercommon, and I cast my Hexblade's Curse.
Okay, he does not speak Undercommon, but whatever you said might intimidate him. So go ahead and make an intimidation check, because Undercommon is very guttural.
Oh, yeah. I was going for the whole I'm a creepy dude thing. That's an 11, so.
Yeah, so you pretty much... And he, his eyes kind of look confused, but he stands his ground. Siraye, what would you like to do before this individual gets too far away from you?
How close am I to him now?
So the tiefling that has been charging across these rooftops, Billix, is now maybe 15 feet away from you.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw my dart at him, and I'm gonna try and throw it at his ankle or like his foot, because I want to slow him down. I wanna stop this running. I want to kill him. So I'm gonna try and aim specifically at like his ankle or something to stop him.
Okay, so you are specifically trying to impede his movement.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have you roll with a disadvantage. Wow.
Oh, sucker! A 15 and an 18! Whew, that hit!
Yeah,
I know it did.
Yeah, you hit.
Suck it! Billix, or whatever the hell your name is?
I'm going to pull back the veil here. You just barely hit, but you hit.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Plus your sneak attack. So that does... Okay, so you do 8 points of damage as he stumbles forward and slides across the roof. You don't
cool. And then I'm going to use my extra action to jump forward and try and stab, like, with my spear. I'm going to jump forward, spear in the air, ready to go, and I'm going to try and stab down onto him as he trips up.
Okay, so you're going to need to make an acrobatics check. And then you're using your bonus action to more or less attack, right?
Yeah.
It's a 9.
Fuck. No,
Yeah.
it's not great.
So
it doesn't work.
It's not great. So you can go ahead.
I feel like I jump and I go to get him, and he like notices me and does this, and then like dodges out of the way very nimbly, because he's still a very nimble tiefling rogue, and I will give him that. And like just misses me as my spear like digs into the terracotta roof tile and like smashes it.
Yeah,
and then
so
I
you
like
shatter,
look up at him.
You shatter the tile right next to his head as he pulls his head to the side as you jab downward. And you're standing over him right now, and you see that he has this dart still stuck in his leg, in the back of his leg. And he looks at you, and he smiles.
Okay, I want to punch him, but I have no more actions.
On the ground, we have 2 individuals. The larger man stands back up and immediately charges you, Hawke, trying to tackle you to the ground. I need you to make an acrobatics check to remain standing.
Oof. Not good with acrobatics. That's 5.
Okay, so he's blinded and he barely succeeds, but he does, because you rolled abysmally, he does like barrel into you, and both of you topple down on the ground. You are prone, and so is he. And as you're lying on the ground, the other man in the armor starts laughing and charges forward with his sword drawn, striking at you. He gets to roll with an advantage, and he strikes. Causing 9 points of damage as his sword cuts through a gap in your armor, and you feel the hot wash of blood flow.
If you know what's good for you, you're going to stay down.
If you know what's good for you, you better run.
That is their 2 actions. Over on the side here, something's happening in the fog. One of the archers has been disabled and does not fire, tries to regain their composure and prepare for the next round. The other 2, however, immediately fire upon Maglo and Doddle. So I'm going to fire at each of you. Oh, no. That is a natural 20.
Oh, no.
Doddle, an arrow just whizzes through the air from the top of one of these rooftops and hits you in the shoulder. And it buries itself deep into your arm. It is very painful. And you take, well, it could have been worse. You take 8 points of damage as you feel blood start to well up through your coat. And Maglo, an arrow flies over your head and hits the cobblestone behind you. Billix, in the meanwhile, smiling up at you, Siraye, kicks you.
Butthole.
And hits. I need you to make an acrobatics check. You take 4 points of damage. Okay. So you got a 15, which keeps you from falling off the roof. However, he pulls himself out from underneath you and rolls back.
I feel like I stagger back when he kicks me, and then he does one of those like martial arts like flips things to get
rolls
himself
back.
up.
Yeah, he rolls back and very nimbly lands back on his feet, and you see that he's pulled your dagger out and drops it to the ground. Was there any poison or anything on it?
No, it's just a plain dagger. It has
It's a dart, right?
Yeah, it's a dart.
Okay. So yeah, he's standing now. He's gotten you off of him. He's kicked you, and he like prepares himself to fight now. He's not running any longer. Okay, that's the end of the round. We're going back up to the top. First up is Maglo. Maglo, what do you want to do?
If he's going to go into the fog to try and find the book. However, hi everyone. Welcome to Matthew Ekberg Ruins the Fun. Doddle, you got injured. You need to roll a concentration check.
For your wall of
and I am letting you know because it benefits this guy. So.
But also, I just want you to know that I love you and I value when you keep me in check because it prevents people tweeting me later on.
I am that guy that tweeted you. It's the only reason I'm here.
So
what am I rolling?
You need to roll your concentration check, which is under your spell list here. You have a modifier.
16.
So the wall of fog is still up. But by the way, it can instantaneously be dropped if you communicate that and Doddle decides that she no longer wants.
Can I do that right now for narrative reasons? Because probably would be rather shocking to be shot with an arrow.
If you wish to drop the wall of fog immediately, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that we do that.
That said, immediately you see the cart. You see lying on the back of the cart the thief that stole your book and another thug standing at the end of the carriage. So you have 2 individuals. One of them is still moving. The individual that you shot in the back while wounded seems to be picking himself back up and regaining himself. You can see that he does have your book still in his arm. And the other individual is standing here in front of the cart, blade drawn. But the horse, however, seems to be very unhappy and is kind of fighting its harness right now as it's trying to pull away from the cart.
Hearing the yell of a goblin to his side, Maglo whips his head around, sees Doddle get hurt, and then sees the fog cloud leave. Can he interpret that it came from Doddle?
Make an Arcana check, please.
20. on that.
Yeah, it makes sense. The goblin was just shot, and then the fog disappeared. You don't know why the goblin would be
he's
on that, but
as the fog cloud disperses and he sees the two people, he raises his gun. I just want the book. If you give me the book, you don't have to die today.
All right, make a persuasion check, please.
18.
Interesting. So you seem to have caught the attention of not the one that you shot in the back, but the one on the ground. You just want your book.
I just want the book.
Frack it, take the book. I don't care. We don't want this fight. You should lay down your arms and I'll give you your book.
Give me the book, and then I'll lay down my arms.
Well,
Why
we
do you
seem
even
to be
want
at
the
an impasse. You have a weapon.
Aye, we do. Your friend over there is fucking dying because I shot him in the back. If you don't want to get shot in the face, you're going to give me the fucking book. That's the impasse we're at, bud.
I don't think you know who you're dealing with.
I don't think you realize you've stolen the book of the smartest man on the fucking planet, and then Maglo's going to shoot him.
All right. So conversation over. Go ahead.
It's
And
conversation
roll.
over. He's not having it.
Roll to strike, please, sir.
Help with Busby again, if that's okay.
Yeah, Busby's still attached to your rifle, unless you tell me otherwise.
That is a 26.
Yeah, 26 is gonna hit.
And that is 20 poison damage.
Yeah, so you hit him center mass. You shoot him in the chest, and he stumbles backwards and drops his sword, falling across the cart, trying to pull himself up.
He also needs to roll a con save or be poisoned.
He succeeds that, so he's not poisoned, but he is
cool.
He is thrown like a scarecrow across the back of this cart.
Maglo's gonna get closer. Okay. He's gonna walk closer to them, still gun raised, but he has his hand out now. I can heal you if you want. Just give me the fucking book.
Okay, Doddle, it is now your turn. What would you like to do? You see this man raise this weapon and fire like lightning out of it as he strikes the man that was just in a conversation with him, throwing him back. He's very badly wounded.
Can I get to the cart? Because I want to hide, because there's people shooting at me from above me. Perhaps I am in a little bit over my head here. Am I able to hide under the cart?
Yes. So you make your way over to the cart, make an acrobatics check, and you can slide underneath the cart.
That's 11.
It's not great. So you run over to the cart and you roll under it. I'm going to give the man that has just been shot the opportunity to try to grab you. I don't think he's going to succeed because he's at a disadvantage. And he fails. So he does like see you and he snatches his hand down trying to grab you. You can see blood pooling up underneath him. And you get under the cart and you're now safe underneath it. And you see this large head kind of turn and look between its legs as the horse is looking down at you.
I'm gonna wave at him.
You're a miracle, boy. Cracks the strange goat-like creature and it turns and starts its way back as you stand alone in a cold, dank mining shaft. What do you do?
I shake my head and quietly to myself say, there's no such thing as miracles. And I just kind of heft my bag onto my shoulders and I start walking up the surface.
As you do, you begin